It's like remote MK Ultra in your dreams. Alright, sorry for the lighting. It's actually not that bad. Bought a new light bulb yesterday. It's 5:31 a.m. The date is December 7th, 2017, Thursday. I just woke up, I want to say, about an hour ago. And that was at 4:22 a.m. I fell asleep around 2:40. I want to say 2:40, 2:50 a.m. This is really hard to talk about, but I'm convinced, because this is reoccurring, and it doesn't happen all the time, but what's been happening is I don't know how to approach it. Please forgive me. I'm just gonna jump into it. I feel that somehow, some way, my dreams are being manipulated. I know that sounds absolutely nuts and crazy, but I can assure you I'm not crazy. This doesn't happen all the time, but I'm very familiar with actual documentable technology that can be used upon a subject, such as voice-to-scroll technology, remote neural monitoring. Look up US patents using those keywords. Also save this video for future reference so you will always have it. You never know when the internet will go down or when any of this information will be scrubbed by those that fantasize about book burning like those in the past that would hide anybody's intellectual works. And doc. Brainwave activity can be mapped. Brainwave activity can be monitored on a visual screen. Our own brainwave frequencies can also be hindered. When I say our own brainwave frequencies, I am referring to the natural brainwave frequencies that result from our natural states of mind. Think Pavlovian training. You have the subject's brainwave activity, in a certain mindset. Let's say it's an undesirable mindset. When I say undesirable mindset, I am referring to your natural desirable mindset that is targeted. And they want to sort of train that out of you. What I mean by Pavlovian training is the application of Pavlovian conditioning, or classical conditioning, but through the use of electromagnetic frequency stimulation and/or RNM-assisted noise harassment. Pavlovian conditioning involves the introduction of a repetitious trigger stimuli, parentheses, the unconditioned stimulus that becomes the conditioned stimulus, end parentheses, respondent to an action or behavior, which then becomes a trigger condition, via association of the trigger stimulus respondent to those actions or behaviors, resulting in the conditioned response. The conditioned response is the alteration, disruption, or encouragement of such actions, emotions, thoughts, or behaviors, even without the presence of the conditioned trigger stimuli. In other words, the conditioned response, parentheses such as fear or doubt, is triggered even with the thought of those actions or behaviors that the conditioned stimulus is associated with. If the conditioned response begins to fail, positive reinforcement of the trigger condition becomes necessary to maintain or strengthen the conditioned response. With psychological warfare or mind control upon an individual, whether the individual is aware or unaware of it, either the use of a fear-based aversive mechanism or a rewarding encouragement can be used to alter behaviors and actions. With this basic understanding of Pavlovian conditioning, we can also observe the conditioned response becoming unconditional, meaning no conditioning is necessary anymore, wherever the trigger condition may occur. Thus, whatever the trigger condition may be, can become a means to manipulate or disrupt the mind. EMF harassment can be applied every time the subject is doing the undesired thing or is in an undesirable state of mind, right? So finding it very difficult to concentrate right now. I'm running on less than an hour. Well, excuse me, an hour 30. I want to say about an hour 30 minutes. It's ridiculous. Okay, so why do I suspect that whoever is using this technology has the capability to manipulate the dreams? Well, this has happened before. I feel I can distinguish the difference between what a natural dream is and what an artificial one is. It feels like some form of remote MK Ultra is being used or something. It's absolutely, it doesn't really sound crazy, actually. You know, the technology is so advanced nowadays. So whenever I feel that my dreams are being manipulated, whenever, let's say, I'm having a dream that's being manipulated, right? Some of the telltale signs that I will experience is somebody narrating the dream, almost like some sort of like hypnotist, perhaps. That sounds crazy. Some operative, right, who would specialize in that. You know, I would assume that I don't know, I couldn't say if it's recorded or what, but I believe that, you know, if they were to apply such a thing, that they would obviously have a very large profile upon their subject, and every attempt for manipulation or whatever, I don't know, I'm at a loss for words for it. Would be tailor-made depending upon the program that the subject has been put under. I believe that every subject's case file is handled differently, and the strategies to apply their methods, that makes sense, differ depending on what kind of desired result they want to harness or manipulate, right? I hope that made sense. You know, I don't have the technical terms or anything. You know, it's not like I can Google search this kind of stuff, but I'm convinced that this has got to be taking place. So, tall tale signs. Elements of V2K, perhaps. Some way to narrate what is occurring in the dream. Somebody will be talking. Sometimes music will be played. Music that I don't listen to. Okay, music that I have never heard before that sounds like an actual song. I could not compose this music with all its little details in my head. Same with the voices commenting or narrating within the dream. They have their own distinct voices that I could not imagine, vocabulary that I have never used, and thoughts that I would never know or care to think about. You know, I guess I should just talk about the dream. Maybe that will help. I don't know where to begin. I know that I wasn't asleep for that long, but... And I should also mention that, you know, I'm avoiding all, you know, attention baiting that these gang stalkers and what have you are, you know, on a daily basis. I do a really good job of ignoring it. And I notice that whenever I ignore it thoroughly, they seem to get very desperate. You know, to the point where they'll actually call out my name in public. For example, I will be riding my bike, and as I am about to be parallel or just after I cross a group of people on the other side of the street, someone from this huddled group will say, "James!" as if they know me. This tactic force disrupts my natural good-feeling thoughts and motivations very effectively. The skit or act is done in such a way to make you realize that these people know something about you, and that this could not be possible without a network capable of gathering intel about you and little details about your life. This causes horrific feelings of dread and adrenaline, as if your life is on the line. I wish I had a 24/7 body cam with audio and everything just to prove it. I don't have any finances. So, let's see, where was I? So, I guess I'll just start talking about the dream. Excuse me, this is what I was just going to say before that. They don't want me talking or making sense. So what I was going to say was... I can't remember. Again. It's abnormal. I think this is being done by frequencies that is disrupting my own brainwave frequencies. Look up narrative disruptor technology. In essence, EMF frequency is used to disrupt the natural electromagnetic signal occurring in the mind, resulting in a blank out of what you are talking about. This can also affect a person while they are speaking, causing a stuttering effect. Differing degrees of intensity as well as duration of the EMF frequency can cause differing results, from a basic stutter to forgetting what you are talking about, to sounding like you have instantly been sedated to the point of drooling all over yourself. Here is a demonstration of the transcranial magnetic stimulation technology.
Six, seven, eight. Okay. Ooh, yeah. We've interfered with the ability to speak. London Bridge, London Bridge, London Bridge is falling down. You think of something you can do, and we've basically interfered with it with this machine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what's the problem? I don't know.
Well, Wisconsin has officially joined 25 other states in a lawsuit against President Obama's healthcare reform law. Attorney General J.B. Van Hollen says Wisconsin is the latest state, including Iowa, Kansas, Maine, Ohio, and Wyoming, to join Florida's suit. The States claiming the exorcist saw Unchesracho and play Bringritz by Health Urgent.
Now, Defense Minister McLeod did confirm today that more than 54 18 fighter jets are spending about as much as 20 and ready to assist the 100 deployed over the amount needed. Now, it did depend that how the NOLAN remerges RN while the university or the UN mission as whole received support from all batteries in the hues of the garbins of today. Excuse me. I'll hand it back to you.
Ale že je rád, že všichni tři pánové pozvání na Pražský hrad přijali. Ta schůzka trvala, jak už bylo řečeno, v podstatě 45 minut. A když odjížděli, zkoušeli jsme se zeptat premiéra Petra Nečase, jestli by to nekomentoval, neřekl pár slov. Řekl, že zatím nikoli, že až po jednání odpoledním ve formátu pravděpodobně o něch K12, tedy 4 zástupci z každé ze 3 koaličních stran v Kramářově vile. To by mělo začít ve 12 hodin a 30 minut. Nedověděli jsme se nic, dá se tedy předpokládat, že odpoledne pravděpodobně budeme úspěšnější. A teď se pojďme podívat na to, co přinesly poslední hodiny na české politické scéně.
I noticed that other times I can think very clearly and smoothly. This is a sensitive topic. It really is. It is a sensitive topic in and of itself, especially for the individual experiencing it. Likely, an individual subjected to this instant loss of thought and normative speech faculties would cause self-doubt or a loss of confidence and a traumatic experience not having access to your own vocabulary or regular speech patterns. This could also get someone to think they are suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia. Narrative disruptor technologies can prevent you from being an effective speaker as much as preventing you from having your own inner monologues. Apply this to psyops or mind control, and it is no stretch of the imagination that this would be a desirable method to be used on a subject who is a knowledgeable and effective speaker, philosophically insightful, or good at formulating thoughtful questions that seeks a thoughtful answer. Getting these targets to doubt their own mental and social capabilities would be a free speech hater's dream come true. The tech is used to disrupt natural synaptic plasticity from taking place as well, through long-term use. To give an analogy of what I mean, it is like disrupting one from effectively exercising or putting in a good workout. Let's say each time you begin to lift the weights, or perhaps just finishing your last few reps, something intervenes, which prevents you from completing your set, occurring each time. The same could be applied to reading a book in a noisy environment versus a quiet environment. Now imagine being able to control the environment responsive to whatever you do live, i.e. responsive noise harassment campaigns and sessions. Surveillance assisted, of course. And just as much as it can be used to disrupt your own mind from naturally exercising, whether you're partaking in your own speech or your writings or intellectual works or your music, the same could be used to exercise the provoked state in your mind, the undesirable behaviors in which those helming the operation would find desirable. They don't want people who know what they're talking about this. Specifically, people who don't sound crazy, or, they're not mentally disabled. They haven't become mentally disabled. It would seem as if that they would want people who they have artificially manipulated to be unstable to start talking about this. used for the purpose to discredit the topic itself. Kind of use them as their Manchurian candidate to talk about this stuff, but for the sole purpose to make it sound ridiculous to everybody else. So I'll just get into the dream. And here we go. This is exactly what I was going to say before I was going to get the dream. Please forgive me. I'm trying my best. I'll try to cut this up and just splice it together. As much as I would like to cut all of this into a concise point-by-point video, I feel it is also important to show the difficulties speaking and putting my thoughts together. This stuff ain't easy to talk about. It's already difficult enough to be talking about something like this. I wasn't, I was ignoring everything. I don't think about this. I'm sort of used to it. It's not something anybody should have to get used to, but I just deal with it. I have other things that I'd rather be paying attention to. I have a life. I value my life. And I value other people's lives. Okay, I have respect and honor to do good and to learn and to be creative. And they don't like these people, it would seem. So anyways, they target people who are influential. They target people who have the capability to influence other people with certain subject matters, and effectively talk about it. Can provide information, excuse me, and not sound like a nutcase. I'm well versed in various topics of interest. And I have been a part of a few organizations, just one organization, We Are Change LA, which dealt heavily in distributing 9/11 truth material, outreach events to the general public, handing out DVDs of architects and engineers from 9/11 truth, loose change, what have you. We did a good job at what we did, but it was infested with COINTELPRO, counterintelligence programs. There was actual operatives that infiltrated the group, and we got there's actual testimony. It is my strong belief and opinion that Ed Brotherton, Bernie Suarez, and Nelson Martins, aka DJ Thermal Detonator, served as disruptors when I would reattend the meetup group in April and May of 2015. I would be honored to testify about my observances while at these meetups, as I despise anyone's efforts that would sabotage and or subvert the First Amendment activities of any group of persons, and especially to those that, in my eyes, exemplified truly heroic and courageous efforts that inspired me deeply, made me a stronger person, and what made the truth movement possible. Never have I seen such self-educated and heartfelt people since the anti-war and civil rights movements of the past. Big difference between something truly grassroots as opposed to protest or counter-protests that are sponsored by people such as George Soros or even corporate think tank groups that have been used to facilitate divisive color revolutions, end quote, all over the world. We can observe that these types of protest groups do not hand out information nor want to talk to others about any worthy knowledge they have attained for themselves. We can also observe what is known as controlled opposition, especially in movements or groups that can make a significant impact to a legitimate cause of concern. We all deserve the freedom to express our concerns, even if it challenges the beliefs of your own or another. We may not be in favor of differing beliefs, but we should feel secure in the notion that the freedom to disagree is always your choice. I would love to share more of my thoughts on all of this, as I am trying to cram all of this together as shortly as possible, but this is not what this video is about right now. I should quickly note that I joined We Are Change LA, WACLA, in August of 2008 and stopped attending around 2011 because I started experiencing significant perturbances in my life. Such a series of traumatic, life-changing events that felt like the result of external manipulations, parentheses, COINTELPRO, that's counterintelligence programs, that took so much away from me and caused such deep loss and torment in my life. I was then on my own and started living out of my music rehearsal studio with no car, just a bicycle and a backpack. I would attend the We Are Change Los Angeles meetup group through meetup.org in 2015 and was not the same group of prominent members from years past. This felt like a full-blown honeypot, a den of vipers and saboteurs indicative of controlled opposition. So many stories I would like to talk about now. Let's continue. And by the way, please do yourself a favor if you haven't. Go to YouTube and type in Blueprint for Truth. Watch it. Yes, this is an original DVD of Blueprint for Truth. During an outreach, we would hand out almost 500 to 2,000 copied, burned versions of this. It's extraordinarily important. So, and by the way, good news for 9/11 truthers out there. The Bobby McIlvaine World Trade Center Investigation Act. Architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth have produced draft legislation. All we need is one congressman to get behind it and sign it, and this is going to require Congress to investigate WTC 1, 2, and 7, specifically for controlled demolition. It's so easily provable that we weren't told the truth, and that there is most certainly a different explanation for the collapses of these buildings. Okay, sorry for the tangent, and here we go. What I was going to say before I was going to get into the dream was this. Forgetting it again. This is so abnormal. You know, I'm not blaming this completely on lack of sleep. I'm really not. This happens when I do have good sleep too. Less so, but I want to say that more specifically it occurs whenever I'm documenting sensitive information, and more specifically talking about what's occurring in my own life. Just like I mentioned the narrative disruptor tech and showing the transcranial magnetic stimulation demonstration, think about a remote mobile version of this in conjunction with the ability to monitor brainwave activity, allowing someone to watch with their finger on the button, if you will, to cause the temporary physiological bioelectromagnetic disrupt in the brain, which can show as either forgetting thoughts, as in this case, or even more extreme cases, causing stuttering and or an inability to speak or pronounce words the way you normally do. Just like we can see Dr. Jose Delgado demonstrating the use of an artificially aversive mechanism on a bowl, the same is applied to the mind, or perhaps the bowl in your mind to freely think and speak. Okay, so this is what I was going to say. It came back. You know, before... How do I approach it? Yeah, I wasn't, thinking... This shit that surrounds my life, it's the last thing that I ever want to think about. I have my own life. I would rather focus my attention on my creative and educational work. I'm making a lot of progress. I notice that whenever I make a lot of progress, that some sort of sting operation will occur, be it sleep deprivation, artificially induced sleep deprivation, or just heavy amounts of harassment that I will receive out in public and in building at the studio here. Noise harassment, directed conversation, mirroring and mimicking what I have purchased, and they will leave these items out by the trash. We're talking about items that, I do most of my grocery shopping at Trader Joe's. We're talking about items that nobody ever buys, nor do you ever see these same items any other day throughout all the years. I do most of my grocery shopping at Trader Joe's, and there's no Trader Joe's around here. I have so many examples, it's not even funny. I could get into it, but I'm not going to. I have to get into it. I am trying not to talk about everything involved because I am trying to stay on topic, but so much to the whole story I feel is left out of the big picture. Let me finish what I wanted to say. I do most of my shopping at Trader Joe's, and it is rare to see any Trader Joe's brown bags here at the studio. There are no Trader Joe's markets where I live, and it is the most rarest thing you will see out here on any given day. Whenever I would shop at Trader Joe's, I will see someone carrying a Trader Joe's brown bag when I get back to my neighborhood, or a Trader Joe's brown bag would be left by the trash bin in the hallway of my studio, where I will be sure to see it when I exit my room. Whatever new item I buy, no matter where I buy it, that same item will be purchased and left anywhere on my path where I will see it. This is done to let me know that you are being watched and that those watching you know where you have been and what you have bought. This is done to let you know that you are being watched and that those watching you know where you have been and what you have bought. The other two major tactics I mentioned earlier were noise harassment and directed conversation. Both of these tactics are surveillance assisted to respond to everything I do, you do, within the alleged privacy of your own room, and used to disrupt your mind when you are working on something. Remote neural monitoring tech allows for the monitoring of your mental states and used for disruption using a tactic like noise harassment. For example, a single knock, tap, or loud thudding sound, usually from the floor above me, or a loud door slam on my floor, or a car horn honk beep outside, or a loud revving of a car engine and or speeding off, and verbal responses by hecklers being paid to operate by responding with their voices with what you are doing, occurs within the same second after. Doesn't matter what they're using. They wait for you to do something, they wait for you to say something so that they can respond to that. It is always quiet in between every action that you take. Whatever the responsive noise disrupt that is used will occur no more than a second after I begin focusing on anything, which can include writing, reading, exercising, playing guitar, or when I am shifting modes, such as when I take a break or begin doing something else. Let's say I take off my headphones after I finish listening or watching something. Once I take the headphones off, a noise is produced immediately within 1 to 2 seconds after. It is used to disrupt your natural consciousness and feelings. Let's say I am reading or writing, or editing my music or movies. Where my creative focus begins, the disrupts occur each time, responsive to that in-the-moment thinking and creativity, as if they have live eyes upon the vitals of your cognition, emotions, nervous system, in order to direct and coordinate every disruption live in real time. I do always entertain the idea of coincidence every single time. However, there are certain, the duration, the frequency, and responsiveness, and all of this, it contradicts probability. And usually it occurs, with these mirroring of items, of bought items. It will occur like the next day or the day of, a couple hours later. It's pretty sick. Usually these tactics are used when they get desperate. I feel like they lay off what can be documented. There was a time where I had no means of recording in public. In fact, it was not until around September of 2016 that I would purchase a cell phone that had a somewhat decent camera. It's really not decent at all. If you are able to record and develop a track record, such as a recording or picture of that item placed where you will see it, as well as having the receipt of purchase showing the time prior, this can raise suspicion that you are being watched with the intent to terrorize you. That's why they don't do that anymore. That is to say that the subject or the target is not just capable, but has the intent to document, which I have in the past, and I do whenever I do get the opportunity to do so, to gather some evidence, if you will. So yeah, the last thing from my mind is the harassment, though they remind me like every freaking, when they're really on, it's like multiple times within a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. What I am talking about is the surveillance-assisted responsive noise harassment, such as single knocks from upstairs, forceful door slams in the hallway, car horn honks, a loud revving or speeding off engine, or police sirens, respondent no more than 1 to 3 seconds after the begin or end point of whatever I do or say. This not only lets you know that you are being watched, but that it is so well organized, as well as having any person in society involved, causing ugly feelings that detracts your natural feelings and productive self. It's used to terrorize you. With enough repetition, this may get one to think that all of society is out to get you. The reality is, it is a dark cloud of those who are low and weak enough to take an offer to violate the rights of their own countrymen, those who have the sorriest excuse to make up the difference for the lack of liberty which attains a true security within yourself. It really depends on what I'm doing, I feel. I notice that when I get really active and I'm doing a lot of work, whether it's writing, let's say, which I've been doing a lot of recently, there will be a lot of noise harassment. There will be somebody from upstairs that will take a hammer and they'll just tap. No one's playing drums. It sounds like someone's taking a hammer and it's just a single tap. A single tap, and that's it. There's no drums being played. It's ridiculous. Sometimes it'll be a large, heavy bang, like you're picking up something heavy and then dropping it. It's absolutely insane. It sounds like a forceful thudding sound, as if dropping a bowling ball about 2 to 3 feet off the ground from the floor above. More violent or forceful sounds seem to occur when everything else fails, while I am working more proficiently on sensitive materials. So, again, it's the last thing from my mind. I was completely engulfed with my work, and I'm very proud of my work. I can't wait to share it. It has nothing to do with organized stalking, but it has to do with different subjects. I'm not going to get into them now. So, and when I went to sleep with headphones on. I was listening to an interview from triviumeducation.com. It was the, I still have it up, the Gene O'Denning interview, part 2. Please do check it out. Listen to all the podcasts, they're amazing. So I fall asleep listening to that. Again, what surrounds my life was the last thing from my mind. It's not something I desire to pay attention to. I was in a good state of feeling. I had good feelings. There's no reason why I would have the nightmare that I had. and it was just so lucid. It was so real. I remember trying to wake up from the dream. I remember feeling as if I had woken up from my dream. I remember feeling like, oh, I'm asleep right now, but I feel like sometimes like I'm struggling to wake up, and then I can feel like, oh no, like I'm sinking back into the dream. You know that feeling? I don't know if you get that. It's, it's weird. So this is what occurred in the dream. I was in my room here,